reaction, a primal thought, a primal passion, a primal, pick an adjective. It usually our first response is a survival response, and it's a great place to start with action. No different than a car coming at you. Are you just going to stand there and get hit? No. Your first response is get out of the way. And then your second response is anger because you almost got hit.
Welcome to Old Guys Still Rock. Super grateful you gave us a look or a listen. We specifically developed this podcast for friends, or soon to be friends, who are in the 40 plus category. This podcast is a platform to not only have your voices be heard, but also for others who are going through the same thing and know that they too aren't alone. Our topics may be business, topics may be entrepreneurship, our topics may be social, or our topics may be just everyday life. Whatever it is, we hope that you give it a share and leave us a comment. But most of all, if you want your voice to be heard, please leave us a comment on how to get a hold of you so you too can be an old guy that still rocks and help build our community. Until we speak again, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be when you're watching this. If this is your first time here, you have just reached the best podcast you have never seen before in your life. We are Old Guys Still Rock. I am Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Bankers. You see behind me, I am a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate here inside of the Coachella Valley with connections in 48 different countries. And then on my right, I have my good friend for almost 30 years, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated, a man with many hats, from buying properties and refurbishing them and selling them or renting them to body shops, to detail shops, to payroll companies, him and his wife just started a wellness center, and better yet, also a very good business and personal coach. And that's kind of how this thing has come into fruition after many years of conversations of, hey, well, I'm having this issue, or what do you think about this and doing this? We felt like there was so much conversation, so many golden nuggets, things like that. We wanted to share them. So we have put together this podcast. We are in episode number 74. So again, if this is your first time, you have months and months of great content. And I suggest that you go back to them. We have special guests that are scattered throughout there, from Edna to Caitlin to, we just had Steve Rigler in from Hot Purple Energy last week with the Ken McCumbers, the Ken Johnsons, the Joe Daniels, Gigi Matakos. I mean, the list keeps going on. If I missed your name, I'm sorry. We've been
Put it in the comments.
Put in the comments. Hey man, you missed my name. We've taken comments. We've read comments. So the premise of this is we'll be talking about, as you heard at the beginning of the show, we'll be talking about business, entrepreneurship, which are realistically two different things, just everyday life, what's going on in society. But the premise of the premise of it is to, hey, we're dealing with this. We want to use our hurdles or our successes to help you win. So, and we're going to get into that here in just a little bit. So I'm going to get off my pedestal and ask my buddy, how are you doing? What's going on with you, my dude?
I am doing well. I am finally off of the medications for staph infection and MRSA. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. Hopefully my body will recover quickly. And we started trying to work out again after a couple weeks off, wife surgery for, we finished up 75 hard and then went right into her surgery. And so a week of living in hotels and all that fun stuff and down and out in Beverly Hills, as they say, right? So
searching for steak.
Exactly. Searching for anything carnivore I could get my hands on. So I'm jazzed to be back in the saddle. My wife is healing so well. Her body is responding to all of the input that she's giving it. She's doing hyperbaric on a regular basis, light therapy. She's getting MLD treatments on a twice a week basis. Uh, it is just amazing to see her flourish, and I am one proud supporter and one proud husband, quite frankly. Uh, she's she's got one, maybe two more to go,
Okay.
and so we're going to try to hopefully speed this process up is my goal. I don't know, we haven't talked about it, but I'd like to see her get this finished. The results are amazing. Her energy level is off the chain. Her recovery time is half of what it was last year.
That's
And
amazing.
remember, we started the whole concept of the wellness center and her building this plan while she was in the hyperbaric chamber recovering last year. So it took her about 5 weeks to recover last year from a very similar surgery.
Mm.
And this year she's 2 weeks in and she's hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And it's just been amazing to watch and to see and to be a participant and a supporter, of course.
Right.
But last year, tomorrow, we started the wellness center and building it out. And 121 days later, we were up and running.
So it's been a year?
Been a year tomorrow, buddy.
Wow.
This concept to reality. So concept would have been this last 4 weeks, and reality would have started tomorrow.
That's crazy.
1
I didn't
year
realize
ago.
it's been so. I would have said, okay, about 6 months ago you started this thing, and blah, 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 blah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, well, we actually went open and did a full-blown open house and everything about 8.5 months ago. So there was a little bit of delay because we had supply chain issues with getting some of our equipment. We had issues with the build out, trying to get supplies, getting people mobilized. My time is limited, and so every night, every weekend, the kids were putting flooring in. You remember that? So the kids learned how to paint, learned how to do trim work, all those things. And so yeah, it's been a fun ride, an interesting year, and a lot of learning and growing in an industry that I knew nothing about. And I am very passionate about this industry. It has changed my life. I mean, look at this, dude. Like,
I know, man. You've come a long way. I mean, along with 75 hard, having that there every day. I know that you used to have a little spot by your house that you guys would pull off workouts when you did 75 hard before. But now the technology that you brought in with hyperbaric tremors, light therapy, just different machines, nutrition has been a big part of your stuff. So it's been awesome to watch that. And it's not so much about just, getting in shape, which is the important part. It's the mental aspect behind it as well to get you through some tough times, which we're actually going to talk about today. Is just like the temperature of the nation right now is it would seem that people are very angry.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to talk about today is anger and how sometimes passion, drivenness, tenacity. There's so many different adjectives that we could use for this to go ahead and and if we don't know that person, we'll look at them and say, man, those guys are just angry. Well, are they angry or are they passionate? Possibly they could be angry. I mean, that's very, very possible. But sometimes it might just be is like, hey, this person has a lot to get off their chest. This person has a lot to say. They are needed to get from point A to point B faster than other people would think that they could get there. And so when things get in their way, anger may come up. So how are some of the things, let's go back to, let's talk about, I mean, you've had, again, detailed businesses. I mean, we can bring in some real estate, but I'm going to talk about you for a second. The businesses that you built, knowing how hard you're driven. And again, people, if you don't know Brent, I would definitely go ahead and, peel back the onion, look him up and see what he's accomplished over a course of time. He has come a long way since I've known him. There wasn't a lot of smiles that would come from his face for a long time. And people was like, God, that guy's just always pissed all the time. He wasn't angry. He was just freaking driven. He was just,
Yeah.
you know, I can't remember what I
Focused.
used to call you, man. It's just
Silent but deadly guy.
yeah, the silent giant. It's like no one really knew, but as like in the back of your mind, what you knew, and like, yeah, just get out of his way. It's going to happen. So, but let's go back to this before I go off on a tangent. Is how when when you were kind of getting into the cusp of things over your course of 30 plus years of building a business, and there was times that you were really, really pushing, and people would come up to you and like, dude, what is your problem? How would you explain that to them? Or could you not explain to them at that time? And can you do it now?
So I don't know that anybody ever came up to me and asked me, quite frankly. I think they were probably afraid. I was very focused, very driven. So how you came up with the silent but deadly guy was, in you and I met because of BNI.
Right.
And so in fact you drug me in there kicking and screaming. and and where the silent but deadly thing came up was after, so in BNI, it's a leads group, it's a referral group, and you came up to me after one of the meetings and I just dropped bombs. Like I had like 18 referrals and I had like 20 thank yous for business, for closed business, and I had like 4 one-to-ones, and I'm like, boom. Where are you guys at? Anybody want to challenge this? Anybody want to compete? Anybody? And you're like, wow. Look at Brent go, like silent but deadly guy, right? He doesn't say 2 words during the meetings. He gives his input. He delivers his 30 seconds or 45 seconds, whatever it was at the time. And then just drops bombs, boom, in the middle of it. And I don't think anybody really ever had a discussion with me about that. I think most people just tried to stay out of my way. And they probably did think that I was angry. They probably did think that I was driven and focused, almost to an unhealthy state compared to most people. And what I would tell you is that one of my neighbors used to describe me as this. Somebody new would move into the neighborhood and they would say, well, who's that guy? And they would say, well, that's Brent. And what I want to tell you about Brent is that if you engage him, know that it's going to happen. So if you're not ready to engage, don't mention it. Because if you mention it, it's done. You want your car fixed? He'll call you. He'll get it scheduled. He'll fix it. He'll send you a bill. If you're not ready to pay that bill, don't tell him you want to fix your car. Same thing with a detail. Same thing with any project that you have. He's the first person to step up. If your gutters are plugged and you're not home and it starts raining, he's going to get up and unplug your gutters. So just know that. Like he's the guy that gets it done.
I think that's, I've had plenty of instances with you. Like I mentioned it and all of a sudden you're at my front door. I'm like, okay, dude, I just mentioned it. It didn't mean I'm ready for it to be done. But that was just your mindset. Like, okay, it was brought up. So that obviously means it needs to get done. Why are we going to wait till tomorrow? Why are we going to wait till tomorrow next month? In which a lot of, like, I still have that problem. I procrastinate and it's a downfall of mine. I've gotten better over the course of time to get some stuff done, but I still have that as a hurdle. I still have as a crutch, just to let you know that's on there. But before we get too far on this rabbit hole, because you said a couple of things that trigger me, you get these very successful people and come off like you do, and maybe there's some episodes that you have. And I'm speaking to our followers and our listeners right now. And maybe there's some episodes like, God, Brent's coming off as a hole, or Blair is coming off as an a-hole, or pompous yo-yo head, whatever. It's not that. It's like, it's because of our standard has changed. Does that make us better than you? Absolutely not. And it really comes back to it's expectations of ourselves, that we're like, hey, this is what happened. This is what we do. We don't get it why other people are not here. Again, nothing against somebody else that may not be there. It's just that we did it how come no one else is doing that? It doesn't
Mhm.
make us better. And I think it's almost too is that for Brent and I, and Brent will be able to speak on this, it's almost to the point of how are we going to help these people not go through what we go through to get there? And so it's more mad at ourselves that
Yeah.
other people are struggling for something that we know how to fix and figure out how we're going to reach them and get some stuff done. Hence why, again, another reason why we did this podcast. So again, if you're listening and you've heard some stuff in the past and you think someone else can benefit from it, from one of other 73 other episodes that are out there, share the show. If someone doesn't like something we said, let us know, or someone doesn't understand, or we came across the wrong way, let us know via text, via email. You can put it in comments. It's okay. Cause yeah, we can understand that we can come across passionate, probably like I'm doing right now. Um,
Well,
but
and on
yeah,
top of it, if you don't know how to articulate your
yeah,
frustration or your response, reach out.
right.
I can help pull that out of you and figure out what the trigger is so that way we can help you work through that. So if we've triggered you,
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Right.
Good. Get in touch.
You know,
Good. Let's have a discussion.
yeah. And I think that's happening right now in the world of, I'm going to use this, and this may be a controversial moment because some people like this person and some people don't, and that's fine. There's an understanding that when you have accomplished so much stuff that you just become across as this angry bear. And I really want to go back to just what I just said a little bit ago is peel back that onion. If you're talking to a successful person, you can look at Andy Frisella. It's a good one.
Yeah.
If I gave someone Andy Frisella's podcast,
They're like, he's so angry.
it's so angry.
That's the first response.
And then you peel back the onion, and then you look at what he's doing for his community. Then you look at what he's doing for North Carolina. And the list goes on and on and on. And you could find a lot of those guys. We're using these as an example of doing some different things.
I got one.
Yeah.
Read a dissertation about Elon Musk and his tunneling company. So in 2017, I believe, he was sitting in LA traffic stuck in gridlock.
Mm-hmm.
And he got pissed. And he describes his anger. And he funneled that anger. He got so angry that he invested $100 million of his money to solve the problem. So in my mind, most people don't get angry enough to solve the problem. They don't get triggered enough to create action. So he's sitting in gridlock and he's like, this is garbage. This is not going to work for me. We got to figure this out. I can't be the only one sitting here not happy, but I am the only one sitting here that's going to do something about it because nobody else is going to do it. Right. So he invests this money. He figures out a way. He gets contracts and he builds tunnels under Las Vegas. So that way he can expedite travel. And now he's got tunnels underneath Los Angeles. He's got tunnels in Texas. And he's building these things and solving the world's problems because he had an anger that he focused and directed into the proper direction to solve a problem in an expedited manner that nobody else was trying to solve.
There's a benefit out of that too, right? So that anger, but he had to get a group of people together, talk it out. This is what's in my head. I can't do this. I have the money to do it. This is making me angry, but I need a mind meld of different, from structural engineer to whatever else you're going to need to build a tunnel. We're just using
Actually, he bought a tunneling company and then redesigned the equipment to better and more efficiently and effectively solve the problem. And he's actually changed the whole tunneling industry as a whole. Now I know a lot of people don't like Elon, and
Well,
that's your deal, right?
absolutely.
You go take that anger and direct it someplace positive, and we'll have a chat about that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just going to be angry and don't like somebody because you don't like somebody, let's still talk about that. But I'm going to call you to action at that point, right? But I have to evaluate somebody being so angry that they solve not only their problem but a global issue with expedited travel, and then changed a whole industry during that. I have to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I mean, he did that with Twitter. It's now X, right? You know, he basically got rid of 90% of the company, became more efficient, and it's actually probably more popular than it was in the past, just because there's so much. I guess you could put controversy behind it, but I think that's the big thing too about is that Brent is basically saying to channel your anger. If you have some ideas, if you have some ways to make it better, then make it better. But get those people around there. Sometimes anger is, we've talked about a lot in the past as well, is we become a silo society. So we'll just get angry and we keep the angry in, and we keep the angry in, we keep the angry in, and it explodes and it doesn't come out the right way. Mm-hmm. So take that anger, which could be passion, could be tenacity. It could be, being driven to, I want to get from point A to point B, and I know how to get it done. I just don't have the tools to get it done. And then utilize that through conversation, utilize that through starting a new company, getting people in place to get that stuff done. So there's a lot of stuff that can be done. Anger shouldn't be, it's not great in the way that we know anger about, but it could be great in the way that if we take it, it is maybe construed to be something really cool.
Well, most people, again, we talk about this in several of our episodes, taking something that's seemingly socially negative and then figuring out a way to flip it into a positive so you can go make a damn difference. I mean, that's our whole shtick on this show, is what are you doing to make a damn difference? And the reason why I say damn difference is because I want to trigger people's feelings into action. If you just say, go make a difference, easy. I can make a difference in one little thing. But if I'm going to make a damn difference, that is a call to action. That's a call to focus. It's a call to self-control. It's a call to activity. I mean, society's trying to train this out of us.
Yeah, I think right there, that is exactly where, I love that you said that. There, just like stay in your lane, don't say anything, just go with the status quo. Don't, we don't want to hear your ideas. We have this in control. You're not necessary. And I think that's where a lot of people's frustrations are at this time, is like we have been silenced in a roundabout way. All parts of society have been silenced in a roundabout way. Is now the pendulum has swung back. You hear this a lot lately, is the pendulum has now swung a different way. And people are like, F this, I'm going to say my piece, and it's not coming out the right way. I'm guilty of it. Brent's guilty of it. There's a lot of us that are guilty of that part of it as well. But it has come back so fast, so strong, that the anger, which could really, what Brent is really trying to help us all understand in all of this, is that it could be really used for good ways. We just learned, we just forgot how to communicate over the last 6, 7, 10, 12 years. There was good suppression, stay in your lane, don't say anything, be a good boy, pull up your good boy pants and pull up your pants and do you. Well, how now we're seeing the after effects of that. And that's what this episode, when Brent brought this up a couple days ago, the great thing about I love these conversations is we couldn't have had this conversation 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Just there's different things that will come up. So we have these organic conversations that bring different things up that you may be talking about at water cooler or with friends at dinner, or conversations with friends over phone, whatever that may be. Or maybe you're a keyboard warrior and you're trying to get your spot out and it's not coming across the right way. I don't know. So I love that part that you brought that up, is because the passion of people wanting change, and sometimes it's coming from people that haven't said anything for a long time, could be years, weeks, months, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And it's coming across as anger.
Well,
and it's like really I just care. I just want things to be better. I don't want us to fight. I just don't want us to do some
frustration.
Or frustration.
Right?
Why are we here?
Yeah. Well, are you where you want to be? Are you where you want to be in life? Are you where you want to be physically? Are you where you want to be mentally and emotionally and spiritually? If you're not, take that anger or that frustration and focus it and channel it into solving the problem. Right? So I guarantee you that, and guilty as charged, been here, your feelings can cascade into negativity, inaction, and complacency so fast. Instead, why don't you get angry, mad at yourself for letting yourself just sit in it, mad at yourself because you've taken no action, mad at yourself because you've been complacent, mad at yourself because you just sit on the freaking couch and listen to Fox News or whatever, CNN or whatever you're doing, right? And you're just mad at the world. Well, take that anger and focus it into something that is productive for not only society, but for yourself. This will probably trigger some folks, but again, we talked about that, right? So I posted this last night. My standards are high because I can provide what I require. And a lot of people don't like that about me because they can't provide what they require.
That's a double-edged sword for you. And this is what I hear when you say this. I have this standard. People get frustrated with you because they can't provide the same way that you can provide. Well, that's good, because that's why Brent's Brent, and that's why you are you. That's why Blair is Blair, and that's why,
But it's not a judgment against them.
It's not a judgment.
They're judging their self and mad at their self, but then they take their anger and project it on me instead of projecting it on action for themselves.
But that is our fault as society that has bred that to make that emotion happen, though. And that's what, and that is what we're having to try to work through of this. And this is not a therapy session or whatever. It's just something to think about. You can be right about this.
It's our therapy session.
It's our therapy session. It's our therapy Thursday. You may like what we're saying. You may not like what we're saying, or you may have, well, you should do it this way better. Great. Then let us know. That's okay. We're an open forum, and, we take L's and we take W's at the same breath. And that's how you become good. As we talked about last week, Kobe Bryant said, job not done. Job not done. It's a constant work in progress. We're in a constant pursuit of perfection and settling in excellence. You've heard me say that multiple times as well. So yeah, if you're hearing something or like, well, these guys are coming off as pompous pricks, then let us know why you feel that way. It's a possibility that what we've said could come across that way. And
it's a possibility that it could trigger you to action, right? And that's the goal with any of our discussions,
right? Is
to trigger ourselves, to trigger each other, to hold each other accountable to action. And that's why we decided to start this, is because, we were holding each other accountable to action, and we're like, let's share this with people. People got to hear this. People got to see this. Yeah.
Now we have
74 episodes.
74 episodes, a couple hundred people every look at it all the time and look at it and say some stuff. We're getting some great reviews. But I think that's the great part about it is here's my hope for me, and Brent may have a different hope, but here's my hope that this episode, share your passion, share your tenacity, whatever that may be, but do it in a spot that is going to be productive. And if you're not knowing which way, which Brent has said multiple times to this episode, if you don't know a way to do it, use him, use me, get a group of people. Maybe it's a networking group. Maybe it's a church group. Maybe you're on the city council and you need to talk. You need to work something out. Maybe it's whatever that it is.
Maybe buy a business in an industry you know nothing about and change the world.
And change the world and do that part of it. And maybe you are a CEO of a company, or you're a board member of a company. Have those discussions and see what spurs out of that. Again, is we just go in, be a good boy, be a good girl. Don't say anything.
Don't rock the boat.
Don't rock the boat. But again, don't go to extremes in saying, well, I've been thinking about this and I'm thinking this. I'm going to override this person and I'm just going to step right over the top of them. Competitiveness is good to a certain extent, but you're going to need, if you burn that bridge, sooner or later, you're going to need that person. Now, we've talked about burning bridges. This is not that episode.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is a great time to come across enemy lines with your anger, as in good anger, come across and we've got to figure this out. And we just I know that you think about this way. I'm thinking about this way. I know there's a common thread in there. How do we use our differences to make greatness? So your anger, their anger, common thread somewhere, working together. How are we going to make this great? Because it is depending on us, as we've said for multiple times over the last couple of weeks and months. No one's coming to save us. Yeah. And it's up to me, Brent, your family, your friends, your work people, whatever that is, the people at your country club, your people at the gym, wherever you're going to be, a lot of power to those. Those are the people that you need to surround yourself with. Share your feelings, share your expression the right way. And again, if you don't know how to get it out, reach out to somebody that will help you adjust it, that it's understandable to other people. Because I'm still working on that. And I come across, I get passionate. You've seen me on here getting, on my pedestal, and I've got to reel myself in.
Well, two things. One, I'll give you a tool in here just in a couple of minutes about how to do this. But the first thing is society is telling you to turn your temperature down and to reprioritize your temperature. We talked about temperature in a previous episode, right? So I would tell you, don't turn your temperature down. I would tell you to focus your temperature into more productive scenarios. But when you turn your temperature down, you don't listen to your instinct. And your instinct is typically what saves you from yourself and saves others, because you're reacting out of a primal reaction, a primal thought, a primal passion, a primal, pick an adjective. It usually, our first response is a survival response, and it's a great place to start with action. No different than a car coming at you. Are you just going to stand there and get hit? No. Your first response is get out of the way. And then your second response is anger because you almost got hit. And then what you do with that anger is really where the magic happens. Do you pick up a rock and throw it at the car? Or do you think, well, maybe that person's having a heart attack and they're veering because they're in distress? Or maybe they're being chased by somebody who's trying to physically attack them, and I'm just an innocent bystander who almost got hit. There's just so many scenarios that play out. But if your first response isn't to move, it's over. Your first response should be to move. So I sent this to you last week or earlier this week. I don't remember. As we talked before, um, it by Monday afternoon, it had been a long week, right?
Yeah.
And so my focus is tough to figure out when I sent this to you. But one of my I ams that I've been working on is this, and this is the tool. I am a master of my mind and focus my furious energy into unlimited power. As a result, whatever I put my mind to becomes mine. So use that as one of your I ams, and I'll reiterate it, slow it down a little bit so people can write it down. I am a master of my mind and focus my furious anger into unlimited power. As a result, whatever I put my mind to becomes mine. If you're doing the mirror exercise or I ams or affirmations, add that to it and see how that changes your day. It's changed mine. Because now when I get frustrated or angry over the last week, I slow everything down. I'm thought provoked in my responses. And my first reaction is to move, like we talked. And then my second reaction is to think about why I'm in this situation and what I can do to change it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys, I would definitely rewind that. That applies to so many different things, to relationships, to sports, to business. There is, we get angry if something doesn't happen the right way in business. We get angry if something, I'm sitting here right next to a beautiful golf course, and we get angry when we miss a shot. And yeah, it's okay. That will, but use that as, Brent just said, is okay. I'm pissed, but what did I miss, or what can I do to correct this, to not only help myself, but to help others in the future as well?
Yeah.
To use that as a tool. I think that you're going to see any successful person is, they're going to get angry, and the failures that they had to go through, the gutters that they had to lick, like, that wasn't fun. I don't want to be here again. Am I angry? Yeah, and it could be a person or some situation you may get corrected or critiqued that makes you angry. Like, how dare they? They don't know what situation that I'm going through. Or do I say, like, this is a hard process to go through. This is not going to happen overnight, by the way.
Yeah.
Take it from me.
Guilty.
Right. Is all right. That's right. You know what? I need to put that in my trigger bank. And the next time that happens, how do I make that better? Or if I start going down that path, how do I circumvent it? It's going to take a long time, but it's just like weight training. It's just like hitting 1,000 golf balls. It's just like taking 1,000 free throws. It's just like taking 1,000 transactions in business. And the number could be more than that. It could be 85 years of life. But you got to work on it every day. Once that trigger comes up, once that anger comes up, are you always going to have something? Yeah. Because, I'm going to go a little biblical here for some, I know some of you like, I like it until you talk about God stuff. Well, I'm going to put it to you this way. God will never give you more than you can handle.
It might feel that way.
It might feel that way. And now what might make you angry? Why am I going through this? I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. Well, yeah, you've done this and done this. Now I want you to go to level. You are at level 10 here, but now we're going to go to the next chapter, and you're starting on level 1. So that's awesome that you've accomplished that. But now we're going to a different chapter, and you're at level 1. So now you need to go to another level. The levels never end until we get to our spot. So
I'm going to give you, since we're old guys that still rock, I'm going to give you a little bit of history, film history, if you will.
Okay.
You remember that movie Red Dawn with
Yep.
Patrick Swayze?
Yep.
So after they shot all their families,
Mm-hmm.
they were all mad. And his exact quote during that was, "Take the anger and let it turn into something else. Take that anger and turn it into something else." And that's what they did in the movie. They
Yeah.
took that anger and then they executed on a plan to win. Again, we know this in fighting, in war, nobody wins, two people lose, right? Two people fight, two people lose. But what I can tell you is, again, just as a movie quote, that's a pretty profound statement.
You said something earlier, and I don't know if we had this on this episode or we were talking beforehand, but darkness and light.
Yeah. You can't have the light without the darkness. And so whether you feel that anger is a dark emotion or a light emotion, it could be both, and it depends on how you use it. It is not, it's not a bad thing, and can be used as a tool to move the needle.
Yeah. It's just if you, and that's the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone should have a little, this is my thought. You don't have to agree with me. I think everyone should have a little darkness in them.
Yeah.
Because
what we said before, like Sun Tzu, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's better to be a gardener or a warrior in the garden than a gardener in a war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jordan Peterson, we've made that quote before, right? He talks about it's better to have somebody that's angry
Mm-hmm.
and capable of destruction that manages that than it is to have somebody who just flies off the handle and can't manage it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will say this, and Brent will probably say this too, is keep that darkness, because darkness runs to light somehow, some way, regardless of how much darkness you have. Eventually you'll run to light. But use that as to drive you. And once you find that light, how are you going to use that to help others? How are you going to help them use that when they're in the darkness and they're searching for that light? How are you going to be that beacon? Knowing like, hey, I had that same anger, or I had that same tenacity, or I had that same drive, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. This is what I did. So you are going to be the cheat code to somebody someday because of the darkness or the anger that you have, but use it the right way. Okay. And if you're not feeling you're using the right way, reach out to somebody that's going to help you see that light
and focus it.
For sure. This was so good, dude.
Yeah. I appreciate you. I appreciate being able to do this with you today. and to talk through some of these things that you and I have struggled with, quite frankly, in the past.
Every freaking day, man. So it's just, it's good out there. And again, I hope this episode really, really helps some people, especially with the next couple of days that are coming up. The best thing about this, dude, we have 74 episodes now. It'll be fun to come back in years and kind of look at that and see where we were and see where we became. And the people that we affected I've mentioned a ton of times, Betsy Meyer, she just got done with 75 hard, just went through some surgeries to help her become more healthy. She texted me, she's like, okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm making plans and I'm going to only be there for a couple of days. Do you want me to wait? Because I'm going to start, what's after 75 hard? Phase one.
Like the phase one. Yeah.
So do you want me to, do it now or after phase one? I said, no, I want you to start with this before phase one. And then I want you to come back after you finish phase one and say, okay, I did 75 hard. I done phase one. there's going to be a lot of golden nuggets, what Betsy has gone through to share. I'm super excited to have her with all of our guests on there. We get some great comments from Ken McCumber all the time of the books that he's reading. It's I don't think we've had one person that has been on here that's left and gone, that was really dumb.
Yeah.
They've really come back and say, man, you really helped me think about a lot of things. So if you're
speaking of 75 Hard, speaking of 75 Hard, I want to congratulate Nick and Rachel Cotta.
Okay.
They just finished the Live Hard program.
Not the whole part.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you guys. Way to go, man.
Great job. And it has changed their relationship. It's changed their trajectory on life. It's changed their relationship with their children. It's changed Nick's relationship with his job. Rachel is now homeschooling the kids and is a stay-at-home mom for the first time. It's changed a lot of things for the positive for them. And I believe this podcast has helped them change a little bit.
Yeah.
Our personal coaching has helped them change a little bit. Our interactions have helped us change, my wife and I, with our interactions with them. And I want to just say, you guys are freaking awesome. Good job sticking it out. It's a tough road. Blair did it. It's a tough road.
It's tough, dude. So I'm proud of you, especially with kids, man. I was solo doing it. So I can't imagine with family and jobs and all that stuff. So great job. Yeah, Katas, I see you. You guys follow us. You share a show, man. It's awesome. I understand the ties with everybody here on this podcast, but I mean, it just because there's ties to it doesn't mean you have to do it. So congratulations on doing Live Hard. It's a flipping journey, dude. And so what's Nick's wife's name? I'm sorry.
Rachel,
great job. great job. Your life will be a ton better. Just remember everything that you learned. Now it's your turn to share that. And keep paying it. It's one of the greatest pay it forwards that you can possibly go through. So it's awesome. Yeah. All right, dude. Final words for you, my friend. I feel like there's a lot of golden nuggets today.
As always, just go make a damn difference. And if you don't know how to do that, reach out to us and we'll help you figure that out.
Yep. Real easy to find, guys. Great week. I know there's a lot of crazy stuff coming up in the week. Remember to stay focused. Go to your neighbor. Shake a hand, look in the eyes, ask them how you can be an assistance, channel that anger, channel that stuff to do good. Until we see each other next week, stay safe. And most of all, God bless, guys. Take care.